Another Matthew writes in, Sam and Janeane, I have a 30-year-old tech genius of a nephew who also happens to be a gold bug. Can you help? Lately, all conversations start off simply enough and then devolve into economic monetary collapse.
This Thanksgiving, it's going to be Bitcoin he'll be talking about, I'm sure.
Right.
It's a virginity issue.
I don't think you can argue with gold bugs. I think, look, if he wants to believe in a monetary collapse, just tell him that either way, if he's going to buy a lot of gold, he should still diversify. He's young enough. I mean, the beauty is he's only 30. And if he's in tech, he's probably going to have at least, some opportunities going forward, although he might not. Fortunately for him, Social Security will be there if he puts all his money into gold and something.
You know what I would say?
Happens.
Susie Orman. Susie Orman. There it is. I've said it, Sam. Susie Orman. Now that Oprah's gone, who shall lead us? Susie Orman. Fiduciary responsibility. Fiscal prudence. I like the cut of her jib. She knows what's what. I await further instruction. Susie Orman. A 401k, a Roth IRA. Now, I don't know if you have to be Jewish to use a Roth IRA, but I feel like it sounds okay. You can Gentiles can use, and atheists can do a Roth IRA. Sam?
Oh yeah, no,
Gentiles can use a Roth IRA, but they can't criticize Netanyahu.
That's right.
So we're just updating things.
Okay, and 8-month emergency fund.
Right.
Diversified portfolio. Do not lease a car. Do not lease a car.
Do not lease a car.
I would say Susie Orman.
Don't get whole life insurance.
Never. No.
Term
That makes
life
her
insurance.
so angry.
Term life insurance.
But wait, Sam.
Crazy.
You were saying this the other day though, that the libertarian relative you could treat a little bit differently potentially, right?
What's that? The young
like when you're go into that.
Okay. Well, now if this guy, first off, there are three basic archetypes that I have that when I talk about this. One is the Tea Party guy, who you're not going to be able to convince of anything, but there is value in engaging him on things like, is Obama really an American? Because then you're showing the other people at Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Then there's
also just entertaining.
Right. Then there's
tragic,
the sort of
tragic.
the plutocrat type. Now they may say that they're an independent or they're Mitt Romney or this and that, but really at the end of the day they just don't want to pay taxes.
Exactly.
And so everything else they're talking about is something that they've gleaned onto as a way of saying anything but I don't want to pay taxes because I made this. I'm completely self-made. I didn't use your roads. I didn't use your infrastructure. I didn't use the taxes that were paid before me.
I didn't go to public university. It was $50 a semester.
And even if they did, it doesn't matter. They have their money. They want to keep as much of it as
I
they
get
can.
no benefit from society that has allowed me to achieve what I have achieved, but they're not going to be so naked about that, so they may revert to some of the Tea Party talk. Then the third archetype is going to be the libertarian. This is going to be either a 30-year-old tech guy or maybe a junior in college. These guys are going to be high at the table, which is fine. That's all fine. To get inside the circle, as they say, you may want to go get high with that person.
You guys could go see the Hunger Games.
Go see the Hunger Games together.
Part 2 together.
But there are three things.
That.
There's three things that these libertarians are sure to bring up. Or one of these three, okay? One is, of course, and we've heard this on this program often, the guy might say, individuals working in their own best interests is that bring the best results for society. The other day we had a perfect example of what you respond to this person. You say, well, that's not the case with antibiotics. If we all take antibiotics for every disease, it makes sense for us. For every possible infection, it makes sense for us as individuals. But then we destroy the efficacy of antibiotics. Mm-hmm. Or, and we've heard this on this program too, the guy coming back from, and incidentally, I say the guy because it's statistically always going to be a guy, and statistically they're all going to be white.
Usually the libertarians tend to be white males, but I'd say the Tea Partiers, because of there tends to be a lot of ridiculous females.
There's
ridiculous females in the Republican
married
Party
to a white Tea Party guy. And then the second thing the libertarian could say is, well, I saw a video where Milton Friedman explained to a young Michael Moore that Pintos should be sold even if they explode, because then we should just give them a discount. There should just be transparency in the marketplace. And for that person, you say, but what about the guy who's driving behind the Pinto? Mm-hmm. If we had your own exclusive roads, and a car company found it profitable to sell Pintos to only people who want to buy a cheap car for their own exclusive roads, then fine. But that's not the case in reality. And then the third thing they may say, if they are Tim Carney, and they will say that corporate power is using government for their own benefit of big business, and they'll say, of course, the solution for this is, of course, to get rid of government.
And he also supports the discrimination of corporations, their conscience under the First Amendment of denying coverage.
Yes, well, that is
for contraceptives. The boy-faced man.
Well,
Carney.
but I think that's
Charney.
less about Tim's libertarian streak and more.
He's not a
about-
libertarian.
About his well, but there is no libertarians.
Right. Well, he's just, and also a lot of the actually sort of intellectual the libertarians. Some of them seem like they do read and they seem to be open to intellectual discussions.
Definitely.
But they ultimately have an antisocial streak in them, a selfishness in them, and they probably have had life fairly easy. Therefore, it's easy to say what they say without having had to struggle or suffer in any way. But there is still the underpinnings at the core of it, in your limbic brain, of an antisocial,
Oh yes, well, fundamentally, it is an antisocial,
unkind, uncharitable vision, and a somewhat of a distaste for most people.